We should vacation together, Kelly, because in Africa, I had every pill for and they'd come to my room. I'm like, what are your symptoms? They're like, diarrhea. I'm like, okay, you're going to take a Zofran. You're going to start a azithromycin today. You're on day 1, so you're going to have to take 2. I mean, I am like a pharmacologist. I like to consider myself a farm-to-table gynecologist.
Somebody going to cue me, or do I cue myself?
Cue yourself.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Off Camera. So let's turn the cameras off and get talking. Oh, we've got a fellow Jersey girl in the house. It's been like we've been on a Jersey roll. Roll lately.
They're some of the best interviews.
Chelsea Handler is going to be joining us, the uber funny Chelsea Handler, as I believe a lady from the North Jersey.
Oh.
So she probably feels superior to me
we'll
already.
find out.
So we'll probably cover that. But before we get to Chelsea, Jan, I don't know if you heard, but Albert has a new baby in his life.
Albert's
baby.
a daddy
Albert
again.
is a daddy.
Freddie the poodle is in our
Freddie
house.
Mercury, the poodle.
Freddie Mercury the poodle.
Freddie Mercury Bianchini Barisic, or is it Barisic
Yeah, you're right.
Bianchini?
It's probably Barisic Bianchini.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right. Keep
Yes.
it proper.
Yeah, we picked him up yesterday in Indiana. Drove down this road that I didn't know
You
where.
drove to Indiana?
We flew to Chicago, drove like an hour and a half, picked him up in her driveway, but like you were in the middle of nowhere. There was just farms and windmills. I'm like, where are we? And then there she was in the driveway and handed the dog to us, and it was unbelievable.
Freddie's a doll.
Albert's been a single dad for the first night of
Well,
Rufus
then Kyle
being home.
ditched me last night, and he had to go out to Long Island to do some real estate thing, and I've been alone. And now today, I had to get my niece to come here today, so I have to go relieve her at 6 o'clock. Like anyway.
All mothers are single mothers. Remember that, Albert.
Welcome to our
All
world.
mothers are single
Yeah,
mothers.
exactly.
That's true. I love, I can't wait to talk to Chelsea because she's very anti-child. It's so funny. On Instagram, I barely go on these days, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm like so anti the gram. But Chelsea is the one person that keeps me coming back.
She's the best.
And
She's really
because she has a very strong no child stance, and every time she posts one of her no child videos about like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. You know why?
You're
Because
great.
I don't have children. And I'm like, yeah, same, sis. And then I'm like, no, wait, I do have children. I do have children. But I am an empty nester, so I feel like we are the same. Now I'm also cool.
I love
Yeah.
it.
So I am very excited to talk to her today.
And she loves you too. I mean, I love the two of you together in an interview.
I feel like the reason she doesn't have kids is because she doesn't need kids. I feel like her audience are her children.
Yeah. Well, she's ready. We can talk
She's
to her
ready?
about all of it.
Oh my God. She's in a real podcast studio.
Yeah, she's been
Am I
at
though?
this.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Oh, look, we're wearing matching. Look at us. We're twinsies. Look at it. Look at
we are
it.
twinsies. I always feel like you're the really sexy, funny version of me.
Oh, please. Shut your face.
No, you
That
shut
roo-
your face.
No, you shut yours. That room looks cute.
This is my son's. Okay, this is my now 26-year-old son's old bedroom.
Oh,
this is his
God.
former bedroom.
Can you believe you have a 26-year-old son? Way to age yourself. That's why I don't have children, so I can't reflect. That's a reflection of your age now. Now we know that you're at least 46.
I'm 53, but in child years, it's like dog years. So times that by 7. What's my age? I don't do math.
It's like 130 something,
so,
145.
Before you logged on, I was talking about, how I have basically given up on social media. I really can't stand it anymore. I find it all so depressing. I've muted just about everyone, especially Albert. Just kidding, Albert. But the only person that I dial into for everything and all of it is you. You're the only one. You're the only one that gives me hope. And I especially love your I don't have children videos. I find them so funny and so spot on. What tapped you into the I'm grateful I don't have children? Because now that my kids are out of the house, I can say this. I'm grateful that they're out of the house.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So what tapped into that for you? Because those videos give me life.
I guess I just have gotten to a point in my life where I'm so grateful at all the freedom that I have and all the untetheredness I have. Like I have 8 nieces and nephews and I'm able to go in and out of that. It's almost like a dream role. Like I'm a stepfather and I love that level of responsibility. I come in hot. I do the fun vacations. I give them edibles. We go to Africa. This year I took 3 of my nieces to Africa. Like I get the best of them. You know, I show up for them. I'm a responsible aunt. Like I want them to be good kids and I want to have relationships with them. The girls are a little bit easier than the boys because, you know, I don't know, I'm a girl. And the boys, you know, there's a period of time where you're like, I don't play Fortnite. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care about sports. All I have is basically in my arsenal is like adventure, you know, like cave diving, cliff jumping, that kind of shit. And edibles. Like that's all I have in my rotation. So I've had to get very creative, but I really love not having, like, I don't have to ask permission from anyone about anything. I mean, that includes being child-free and being single, you know, like I love the untethered feeling. I've always been a free spirit and it's really yielded great results. Like I have a great relationship with myself and it's because I've had so much time to invest in myself. And listen, that's a luxury. Not everybody gets that kind of time to get to know yourself and understand what your likes and dislikes are. But like, I'm so glad I didn't have kids. You know, I did get pregnant when I was younger and I did think I wanted to have a baby and I didn't end up doing that because I was a teenager and my parents were like, no fucking way. And I just have this sense of freedom in my life that I don't feel like enough women celebrate. So when I started celebrating it and started getting the feedback from so many women who feel the same way, and then the feedback from all these idiot men saying, I'm not really happy and shame on me because I'm spreading terrible messaging to women, it just obviously gave me even more of a motivation to do it.
What is it? Why do you think men get so upset? It is so funny to me that men get upset that it's like, do they have this fantasy? And maybe it is that. Maybe it's a fantasy because I feel like I have different maybe we have a lot of the same male followers, but like, I feel like the majority of my guy followers are gay. So they'd be like, do you, sis, whatever. But like you seem to have a lot of straight guys, a lot of straight.
No, they're not followers. They're like conservative news media outlets, like guys who are like, I'm on their radar because, you know, I don't need anything from those men. So I'm a threat. I'm a threat to a lot of straight men who don't have enough self-confidence. Like you shouldn't find me threatening. You should find it empowering that I'm spreading this message to other women. If you want to have a baby, for sure, go get one. But if you don't want to have a baby, that's valid too. Your value is not dependent on whether or not you get married, and your value is not dependent on whether or not you procreate. You know what I mean? Right. I want to spread joy and positivity, and I want women to feel valued. I'm here for women. My purpose is to embolden and lift up women. I'm not here for men. That's not my problem. You know, I'm not here to teach men how to treat us or how to respect us. I'm here to help women who don't feel seen, and gay men probably I'm here for. That too. I shouldn't leave them out because that's the majority of my audience as well. And we're probably in the same, you know, pocket.
Yeah.
But I haven't lived a traditional life, and I have to tell you, it's fucking awesome. Like, and I'm not going to pretend it's not awesome. And I do get to be very selfish, and I do get to be very selective about what I do. And what's wrong with that? You know,
nothing.
Like, that gives you the ability and the bandwidth to even spread more joy and do nice things for people that aren't related to you. You know, I think sometimes when you do have a family and you do have your kids, you are really focused on that. And it doesn't allow you a bigger bandwidth always to be focused on other people. And I like to take a lot of pride in saying that I do help a lot of other people that I'll never meet because I don't have my own family to focus on. I have more of a bandwidth. I have extra spending cash that I can give away. I am generous to people I'll never meet because of that. And, you know, you can do both of those things, but it's easier to do that without all of the set of responsibilities that I never wanted in the first place.
When you take your nieces, say, on a safari, when we travel in a tribe. There's nieces, there's cousins, there's nephews, there's grandparents. It's overwhelming to me. I'm always in charge of the medication. which is
Oh, that's me too. I'm also. Do
Yeah.
you have what? You have the Sunday through Monday pill, right? Like the little containers.
course.
I have a double decker one, right?
No, oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
I have a fishing tackle box now because when you're with the in-laws and your parents, it's like I literally stand there and I go, okay, you have to wait 30 minutes and then you take this. You have to
me.
take this with food. You take this after you eat. I'm like a blackjack dealer
I am
at
exactly.
the resort.
We should vacation together, Kelly, because in Africa I had every pill for every, and they'd come to my room. I'm like, what are your symptoms? They're like diarrhea. I'm like, okay, you're going to take a Zofran. You're nauseous. You're also going to take a Zofran. You're going to start azithromycin today. You're on day 1, so you're going to have to take 2. I mean, I am like a pharmacologist. I like to consider myself a farm to table gynecologist.
So you would be good in my family because you are like a pharmacological intuitive.
Well, I've switched it over. I'm very intuitive with people. I know, like, I'm very good about what people can handle and what they can't, especially if it's not drugs, like if it's street drugs, like if it's like ecstasy or mushrooms or LSD. Like, I love microdosing all the time. And like, I always can tell if somebody's going to do well on something or not do well on something. I was in Spain for a month and I had different group friends come through each week. And like each group of friends was different. And in terms of like what they could handle and what they could tolerate.
What would you give me? I've never microdosed anything. What would you give me?
Oh, well, I mean, microdosing now is just like an upper. Like right now, I'm very into LSD microdose. I'm in New York this week and I forgot mine in LA. I left it at my house. So I was like, oh, this morning, I'm like, you know what I could use as a little pick-me-up because it kind of just levels you out. And I heard this neuroscientologist, I almost said.
That's amazing. I'd like to see that person.
I heard this neuroscientist say that microdosing LSD and mushrooms is basically brings your personality to where it should be. Like if you're a depressive or if you're tired, or it levels you up to what you should be. So if you think about it like that, it's not like you're adding to an already full cup, you're filling your cup. And I love to think about it that way because there are days where you don't feel like you need anything. And then there are days where you're like, oh, and when you microdose LSD or mushroom or psilocybin, you're not supposed to do it every day. You're supposed to be like on a protocol. Sometimes you do it like 2 days in a row, then you take 3 days off, or sometimes you do it every third day. So it's really different for everyone. But I'm just very good about knowing if you're a personality type that cannot handle it, I won't force you to do it.
So do you think my personality can handle it?
I think so. I think you could totally handle it.
I think so too. Because here's what I've discovered, like in the 23 years I've been hosting a morning show. And I told everybody this at work recently. It suddenly occurred to me one day, I walked in and I go, I'm not a morning person. It's like suddenly I woke up and I went, you know what the problem is? I'm a night owl. I'm a night fucking owl. And I've painted myself into this corner where I have to be up every morning. And just one day, I don't know who was on or what did it. I don't know if it was a specific guest, but I just came in and I remember thinking, like, I could use an Adderall. I could use an upper because I was the coffee wasn't doing it.
I was once on a plane with my dog, Chunk, my very first rescue dog. We were flying home from Spain, and I thought I gave him a melatonin, and I gave him an Adderall accidentally because I had mixed all my pills together because I'd been on vacation for quite a long time. So I was woken up, but I had taken a Xanax. I gave Chunk, because he was a beginner, a melatonin, I thought. And then I woke up and the flight attendant was like shaking me by the shoulders. And she's like, Miss Handler, their dog is running around the first class cabin foaming at the mouth. We need you to go up and get him. And I was like, what? I have a dog? Like, what are you talking about? And I look over and there he is licking the side of the bathroom door. And I was like, oh my God, my dignified regal dog was acting completely out of whack. And I was like, how could he react to a melatonin like this? And then when I got home and I told my sister the story, she's like, that wasn't a melatonin. You better look through your pill case, because she's like, you're packing some serious heat in there and you need to find out what you gave him. And then I found out I had given him an Adderall. It was such a humiliation. And people ask me why I don't have children. It's like, hello, okay?
I have to say, I said this before you logged on, that I believe, because you gave me some good advice for my daughter, who, like you, has big naturals, as you like to call them. And she would never, listen to me, her mother. But I said to her, Chelsea Handler, she's like, Of course, I know Chelsea Handler. She was like, I'm young. Why do you know Chelsea Handler? And I go, well, Chelsea says that since you have big naturals, if you want to keep them nice, you need to sleep in a bra. And guess what? She's slept in a bra ever since.
Oh, really? See, once you start sleeping in a bra, it becomes your default. So like it feels like if I took my bra off now or when I was in bed, I would be uncomfortable. I can't sleep without a bra now. So it's very easy habit to get into. And yeah, even a sports bra if it's more comfortable. But I'm glad. Listen, if you have big boobs, you want to keep them perky.
Yeah. And so you would have been a great girl mom. But I feel like you are a mom in a lot of ways to your audience. Like the way you present, it's a familial experience. Maybe you're like a big sister, not a mom, but you're like a great presence of authority presented and packaged in a really cool way.
Oh, well, that is that is the
Yeah.
nicest compliment. Thank you, Kelly, for saying that. That warms my heart. I love
It's
that.
true.
No, I do. I think sisterhood is the most important thing in the world. Even though I don't have children doesn't mean I don't care. I do. I care immensely about all my girlfriends. I care about all girls in the world. I care about everybody. And so I like to impress that upon people because it's important, to show up for women. It's important to be honest with women. You know what I mean? Out of sisterhood, you have to be honest and support each other. So yeah, I love that aspect of my life, and I get it. I get that a lot of women do rely on me and come to me or want my opinion or think that about me, and that makes me feel really purposeful.
Have you ever taught at any colleges? Have you ever been an adjunct professor?
No, but that sounds like a yeast infection. Adjunct
No, but
professor.
I feel like you should teach your microdosing class to college students.
I'll teach a self-esteem class first, and then we could get into the microdosing. That will be the adjunct part of the class, the microdosing.
You could be the women's self-esteem.
Women's
studies
empowerment. Yeah, with self-esteem. Microdosing. No, I would love that. Yeah, absolutely. No, I haven't ever taught at a college. Didn't even go to college. So that would be really weird if I started teaching at one.
I don't think so. I think that a lot of times, I didn't go to college either. And every time I go to visit, our youngest son is at the University of Michigan. And every time I go to visit him, and I'm bringing my niece there next week. She's touring the school, and Jan's son has just applied there. And I always go on the tour, and I'm like, I'm going to go to college here. I'm finally going to, when I retire from show business, I'm going to get my college degree. And I can't wait to go to University of Michigan. It has everything. You would love it.
We should pitch that as a show together. You and I go to college together because I would totally be down to go to going and getting an education. I would be totally down with going to college right now.
We would be like Felix and Oscar.
It would be perfect.
Which one is the fun one? Oscar?
Oscar, yeah.
Oscar. But
Oscar.
I feel like we're both Felix and Oscar.
Yeah, you're
different
fun.
aspects.
You're fun. You're not fun.
I'm fun. No, I'm not.
I would
fun.
binge that show in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Okay. We'll pitch that later on.
I love that.
After the strike is over, we'll talk. Well, that's reality. It wouldn't even affect us.
No, it wouldn't. We wouldn't even need writers because we would just really be going back to college.
We would just be going back to college. And then
two middle-aged women
professors.
going to get their college
It's
degrees.
amazing. Oh, that's so nice calling me middle-aged.
And then we rush a sorority.
I can't.
It's a great idea. Guys, write all this down. We just got Chelsea committed to this. So
we have it on
that's
tape.
how we're going to sell it.
Also a good way for you to wake up later. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have to arrange our classes to start at noon.
Noon would be my earliest class.
Noon to 5 is my schedule.
Yeah, that's a perfect schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. So, I know you're from New Jersey, as am I.
We have so much in common.
I know we do.
Between our glasses, our hair, we both didn't go to college. We both grew up in New Jersey.
I know. There's something about New Jersey where it's really the sooner you can just get out of there and start your life, I think the better. That should be their motto. New Jersey, get out. You're from North Jersey, right?
Yeah, Livingston, New Jersey. Where are you from in New Jersey?
South Jersey, near Philadelphia.
You had that South Jersey accent. Yeah, when you say panty, you would say pantyhose.
Right? I would say pantyhose. I would say, my friends call me Kelly Ripa.
I had a girlfriend, one of my roommates, I called her Dum Dum. And I lived with her for like the first 5 years that I lived in LA. And she was from, I don't remember what the town was called, but it was right on the border of Pennsylvania or Philly. Yeah. So she had that Philly accent and I could not.
Was it Cherry Hill?
No, but she talked like that. And I was like, listen, we already have enough problems in New Jersey. Like that accent is not helping anybody.
It's such a bad accent.
It's so bad.
And my dad will send me voice to text. He's figured that out, voice to text. And I always know when it's my dad because it says, hey, cow. So C-A-L, hey, cow. Because he doesn't say Kelly, it's cow. Callie, rip it. And so the voice memo doesn't know what he's trying to say. So it just gives me an approximation of what he's trying to tell me.
Yeah. Luckily, my mom was German, so she didn't have the Jersey accent, which was a big gift. And then my dad was from New Jersey, so he had that. But he had more of like a New York accent. You know what I mean?
Right, because North Jersey.
Yeah, North Jersey is more New York, which is more respectable, and you know that too.
But your dad, well, I always say that South Jersey is my preferred Jersey. I prefer it, but I do know that North Jersey citizens believe that they are more regal, more cultured. They're the embroidery capital of the world.
I wouldn't consider any of us from New Jersey that cultured.
They pay higher property taxes, so they think they're highfalutin.
Yeah, greener grasses.
So your dad, this is so interesting to me because your dad was Jewish and your mom was Mormon. And I want to know how those two religions get together. So your dad was Jewish and your mom was Mormon. And I want to know how those two religions get together.
Oh, God. Well, my dad was a big pervert. And my mother came over. She was visiting from Germany. Sorry. She was working in a ski store in New Jersey. And my dad saw her legs round the corner. And he called them big football legs. Our whole entire lives, he would call my mom football legs. He'd be like, Rita, bring those football legs over here. Because she had
football legs?
Yeah. I'm like, what does
calves.
that mean? Calves. Yeah, calves.
Right.
And they met. He was like 26. She was 19. And he went and followed her into the store and was like, I asked her for a pair of size 12 socks to, get the message across that I was packing some serious heat. And they dated. And then my mom went back to Germany. And then like a year later, she came back to visit him. And while she was on some ship and he said, Rita, when you land, I want us to get married. And then they eloped. And then they went down to Saint Martin, yeah, in the Caribbean.
Saint Martin.
And they had a terrible plane ride experience because their plane dropped like 20,000 feet. So when they got back from that vacation, my dad never, ever flew until my mom passed away like 45 years later. He never got on a plane again. He was so scared of that experience. And ironically, it was with me that he flew again after my mom died. I was like, I'm going to Costa Rica to write a book. I'm like, do you want to come with me? And I brought him to Costa Rica on his first plane, and my mom hated it because my mom loved traveling, and she's like, your father will not go anywhere after that plane situation that happened on our honeymoon. So anyway, that's how they met, and then they were married for a very long time, and it was a lot of highs and a lot of lows. So he was Jewish and my mom was German, so that wasn't really cool at the time. And she agreed to raise us all as Jews. And so we all went to Hebrew school. And I grew up thinking my mom was Jewish also because she would go on the bima at temple and speak Hebrew. And then when my brother died, I was like 9, and the rabbi was at our house talking about getting a plot for the family and the cemetery where he was going to be buried. And in Judaism, you have to be Jewish to be buried in the same cemetery. So it was revealed to me at 9 years old in my parents' kitchen with my rabbi and my sister. He said, Rita's going to have to convert to Judaism if she wants to be buried next to Chet, my brother who had died. And I was like, convert? I was like, what do you mean? Mom's not Jewish? And my family was like, no, Chelsea, mom's not Jewish. I was the youngest, so nobody respected me or gave me any intel. And I was like, and I'm like, well, what is she? And my mom was like, I'm Mormon. And I was like, Mormon? What the fuck is that? And then I read all these books when I was young because my dad thought I was going to be trouble because I had such a big mouth on me that he made me read like serious books when I was little. I had to read like Anna Karenina when I was 8. I had to read Tolstoy. So my dad goes, here, just read the Book of Mormon. It's up there. And so I got the Book of Mormon and I read that in like an hour, came downstairs, looked at my mother and I was like, this is bullshit. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, Mormon or moron? Which one? And that's how I found out my mom was Mormon. And she wasn't a practicing Mormon at that point, but she became Mormon, a practicing Mormon, again, after my brother died. You know, as many people do, they turn to religion in times like that.
She found the Mormon religion more comforting than Judaism because I have to say, like, as a Catholic, born and raised Catholic, married another Catholic, we've raised our kids Catholic. And I find that in times of trouble and in times of distress and in times of sorrow and loss, to be Jewish would be the most incredible thing because Judaism just brings people in and together and surrounds them and really envelops them and still gives meaning to the loss. I'm surprised that your mom didn't lean harder into Judaism.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that because it is a very like tolerant gathering type of religion, right? Like you sit Shiva after someone dies and like everyone just strolls through your house and drops off food and they hang out and you're like, this is going on forever. Like, you know, these people bringing like roast beef and corned beef and pastrami sandwiches over after death. You're like, what is this? But it's very nurturing. You know, and also I was a Reformed Jew, so it was very relaxed. It wasn't like inculcated into us. Like I went to Hebrew school and I was bat mitzvahed and everything. But yeah, I guess my mom had to go back to what she knew when she was like, you know, in despair. When you lose a child, you know, I can't imagine what she must have been going through. And my dad was deep into temple too. They both kind of went their separate ways at that point, religiously speaking.
I can tell you that is a loss that I can't
fathom.
You know, I can't fathom, and I don't even like to think about it.
No.
So you talked about your bat mitzvah just now briefly. What was your bat mitzvah theme?
Oh, please. Are you kidding me? My parents my parents were not equipped to have children. I was born into a family and I was like, who the fuck is in charge around here? Like, I was the adult from the time I was 3. I was like, everybody needs to follow my lead because this is not on the up and up. My dad was a used car dealer, so he was a shyster. My mom kind of worked when my dad was having a rough time. She would pick up some work and she would be like a home health care nurse or something. And I just couldn't believe the way they operated. We were not on the same page. They were holding me back, and I just wanted to get my own apartment and move out when I was like 7 or 8.
Chelsea, you and I have so much in common. I wrote like a collection of short stories last year. The one thing that when I look back at like my journals, the commonality between us is that I was born an adult and I knew I needed to leave my house and get my own place from the age of 3 on. But we had like a lot of crazy rules growing up. Like our neighbor across the street was hit by a car and nearly killed when I was like a baby. I don't remember it, but it happened in front of my mother and she was scarred by that. So I was never allowed to cross the street.
Oh,
okay?
No.
Yes. And so when I would run away from home, which was frequent, it was every other day, I would run away from home. My mom would say, you can run away. Just remember, you can't cross the street. So I would run away from home by hanging a left out the front door. And then I would walk to the end of the block and hang another left. And then I would go to the Dietz's house and hang another left. And then I would go to the Sinelnik's house and hang another left. And then I'd be home. And the whole thing took 20 minutes. And that was me running away from home. And I was like, I've got to get across the street. Did you ever follow a rule in your house or were there just no rules?
No. There were no rules. And even when they tried to make them, I would be like, shut up. You guys are not, capable parents. I broke my arm when I was 8. My bone was out of my arm and we were on Martha's Vineyard. And I came running upstairs. My brother was carrying me. And I was like, Dad, we have to go to the emergency room. I just broke my arm. It's a fracture. Like, I knew exactly what had happened. I'm like, and he's like, well, we're just going to ice it. We're on Martha's Vineyard. We can't go to a hospital here. We can't trust the doctors on an island. We're going to ice it. I'm like, Dad, I'm 8 years old. I'm growing. We don't ice it. We have to go to the ER. They're going to reset it. They're going to have to send you out of the room. I had already read about this, in one of the books that they had forced me to read. And at a certain point, like the student becomes the teacher. I was like, listen, I need you two to fucking focus right now. If you can't handle taking me to the hospital, then Glenn will take me to the hospital. But I'm like, you two are about as useful as an ashtray on a motorcycle. Somebody needs to step it up. I was constantly telling them how to parent me. And when I was 19, I moved to California and I drove across country. And I said to my dad, I had gone to like a half a semester at community college. And I said, after a half a semester, I go, guys, I'm going to go to Los Angeles. I just feel like it's time for me to become famous or something. And my dad goes, please just go. Like, we would like you to go as well.
Isn't it amazing?
And they were but once I got away from them just for 6 months, then I was like, okay, I love my family. Like, I just needed a break. We all needed a break from each other.
Well, there were so many of you. How many children? 7?
Six kids.
6.
Yeah.
6 kids. I mean, listen, we only had 3 and it felt like a lot. So I can't, 3 more than that is like a shit show.
And there's a lot of noise. You know, with that many children, it's like that's another reason I never had children, because I would have to recreate the chaos of my own family. I would want 6 kids, and I'm not going to give birth to 6 kids. You know, at a certain point, I was like, oh, I'm just going to adopt a bunch of kids. And then I was like, no, I'm not. You know what I mean? If someone drops a baby off at my house, I'll take care of it. But that's as far as it's going to go. So, yeah, that's another reason. It was just the cacophony of 6 children at all times that's a lot of action.
Did you, when you left the house to drive, it's so funny because my daughter just moved, and the amount of legwork, groundwork, I was like, okay, we've got to find a flat for her. It's got to be safe. It's got to be centrally located. It's got to be here. It's got to be, and I'm picturing any of my kids picking up on their own, like I did or like you did, and just going.
Oh.
And just going.
Right,
without,
right.
It just couldn't, I don't think it could happen nowadays. I don't know how it would happen.
It's so true. Like my parents, I just went to LA. I mean, I had my aunt and uncle that lived there, so I moved in with them for 3 months until they kicked me out. But I did everything on my own. I mean, they lent me money, or they loaned me money when I needed it, when I was in a real pinch, when I was waiting tables and I'd be broke. But I did everything on my own. They didn't know anything I was up to. I was like, even when my mom was dying, she was like, listen, I know you're going to be fine. You've always been fine. Like, we could throw you to the wolves and you would be fine. And I took that as a big compliment. Like, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I've always landed on my feet, and I don't need a lot of help from anyone, you know?
Yeah, it's. I think we're all the same. It's funny. Mark's parents told me a very similar story. They said, because his brother's a doctor and his sister's a lawyer. And I was like, when Mark was just sort of, he graduated college and he goes, I think I'm going to be an actor. Now that he has his business degree, he's decided he wants to go be an actor. And I said, did that freak you out that he wanted to just move to New York and become an actor? And they said, of our 3 kids, we never worried about Mark. We just never worried about him.
Yeah.
And I know that my parents did not worry about me, and the way your parents did not worry about you. And if I'm being honest, the way I don't worry about Lola. There are certain kids you worry about less. Like when you have your own kids, the one thing I will tell you is they present themselves early. Like, okay, this one needs a lot of attention. That one, I'm not sure what's wrong with that one. This one's going to be fine. That it's just the way it is. So with your others, when you left to go to LA, did you have any siblings that grabbed you and said, please take me with you?
No, they all wanted me to go too. No, in fact, my sister's my most influential person in my life. I have 2 sisters. My oldest one was more of a mom, to me. Mm-hmm. And she's the only one who could really knock sense into me. But they all knew I was had bigger dreams, that I was never going to stay in New Jersey, that I wanted to have a big, loud, brave life. They all knew that. And no one wanted to come with me because they just thought I was going to be chaos. I remember, being on the phone with my sister a couple of times where she had to basically instill her belief in me, where I just had lost faith and I didn't know if I was going to make it. And what if I was waiting tables until I was in my 40s? What if that happened? And she was like, honey, you can't do anything other than, you're not going to be successful at anything else. I believe in you. So no one wanted to come with me, but they kept me grounded in a sense too. They've kept me grounded my whole life because we're a very tight-knit family. We're always together. Mm-hmm. We spend a lot of time together and we vacation together. But no, they just knew I had my own song to sing, and they just kind of supported that. And even if they hadn't, that would have been fine with me too. I didn't really need anyone's support, but they were never overprotective. you know what I mean? If anything, they were underprotective. They were just like, go do your thing. You know, we'll see what happens.
Let me ask you this. Were you popular in high school?
I mean, sometimes and sometimes not. Like I'd go through groups of friends, you know, like I'd wear my welcome out with one group and then I'd go to another group. So I was always initially popular and then I would ruin it somehow. Usually, I think especially after my brother died, I was very angry and I had a lot of trouble maintaining friendships. So that was something I didn't address until I was like 40, you know? I didn't really go to therapy about that. It was like a delayed grief I had.
When was your first therapy session? When was your first therapy session?
40. I went to therapy when I was like 39 or 40, and I went for like 2 years hardcore. And my last book I wrote was about my therapy experiences, just kind of coming to terms with all of my life habits and the way I became. Because, you know, your personality works for you until it doesn't. Your anger can work for you, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore. It's not anger. It's more than that, and it can get difficult to maintain certain relationships and friendships. So I had to examine all of that when I turned 40. I think that's a pretty common thing and time in your life where we all kind of like look at ourselves, you know, in a more deep way. So yeah, it was a great experience. It changed my life. I'm a different person because of it. And I had an incredible time. I mean, if someone told me how long your therapy actually is, because I went for 2 years, but it takes 2 years after that to even absorb everything that you've learned about yourself. And then you have to apply everything you've learned to your life and change your behaviors that are hurtful to others. So it's a whole fucking rigmarole. It's like 6 years in total. It was an incredible experience. It gave me the gift of self-awareness. And that is really important. You know, it's made me a kinder, calmer. I started meditating after therapy. I understood the benefits. Like he would literally show me data, like this is what you can do to heal your brain. This is what you can do to be more patient. This is what you can do to be less reactive. And I'm a very literal thinker. Like I like linear thoughts, you know, I don't like concepts and ideas. I need data and science. And as soon as he showed me all of this stuff, I was like, okay, this is indisputable. Okay, let me do this. Let me do all of these things. And it's just had a major positive impact and the way I operate now.
Me too. I love therapy. It was the greatest thing I ever did. Same as you, started right before I turned 40 years old. I stuck with it. I'm still with it. I love it so much. But I had a very negative idea of therapy. I felt like it was a personal failure. And then I realized, of course, it's because as a kid, my sister and I were threatened with therapy. If we weren't good, which was like normal childhood behavior, but my parents were like, if you don't knock that out, we're going to take you to a therapist and then we'll see.
Right, as a punishment. But yeah.
Which I should have known. My mother would never have sent me to a therapist because, you know, when I finally went as an adult and I told her that I'm going to see a therapist, she's like, well, just remember, they're going to blame me for everything. That's all those people do anyway.
Yeah. That
was her big fear.
Yeah. I remember going into therapy and then like the first session, them going like, Dan Siegel's my therapist. And I went in and he's like, okay. I go, listen, I don't want to talk about my childhood. I have no patience for people. I'm very short-tempered. And I was really angry. Trump had just been elected. And I'm like, I can't handle my anger about Trump being elected. And he's like, okay, let's start with your childhood. And I said, no, it's not about my childhood. I go, this has nothing to do with my childhood. I want to talk about things I could do in the moment. And he's like, okay, you know, and so he humored me for a couple of sessions. And then eventually, obviously, all roads lead back to, you know what.
It's really impressive that you had gone all that time. Like it wasn't until Trump got elected that you went to therapy.
I remember I got into my car. I was at my friend's house and I got in my driver's car, and my driver, Billy, who's been my driver for like 20 years and in LA. And I got in his car and I was crying after the election. And I said I was drunk. And I was like, oh my God, Billy, what are we going to do? And he's like, girl, this is your problem now. He's like, Black people have been dealing with this for years. He goes, now you guys can deal with what we've been up against. And I was like, it was so chilling when he said that.
Yeah. So, you know, you talk about before the pandemic, before therapy, you had really like sort of lost your love of being on tour. And you're on the Little Big Bitch.
Little Big Bitch tour.
Little Big Bitch.
Yes. I'm on tour now. I'm loving it. First of all, it's so nice to be able to give the gift of stand-up in this madness that we're living through, because it is
Yes,
a
it
reprieve
is.
that all of us need. The news is so depressing. It's just so ugly. And so I feel so purposeful, and I feel like I can offer something to the world. And I just took enough of a break from stand-up that I came back with like a vengeance, and I love it. I love being on stage now. I love that I get to have so many fans that are so loyal and come to all my shows. So yeah, I'm performing. I'm going to be on tour probably for another year before I film this special, because it's just been so much fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where's your best crowd? Where's your best audience? Where's your best audience?
Everywhere. I mean, everywhere I
Everywhere
go,
you
it's
go.
like people know me. It's not like I'm an unknown. So it's, even if I perform in Louisville, Kentucky, it's an amazing show where, a place where you think you don't have a great audience, because those people are so hard up for like-minded people that they don't have they don't have a ton of people coming through there. So you can have good shows anywhere. I haven't figured out where I'll film this special. The last special, I don't even remember where. Oh, I filmed that in Nashville, Tennessee. It's always nice to go an off the beaten track place where people don't expect it. So we'll see. But yeah, you can get tickets at chelseahandler.com for anyone listening. I'm touring all over the country, and I'm touring all over Canada. I'm going to Europe, and I'm doing all the states.
I bet Canada's a great audience,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Great crowds in Canada.
Yeah, I love Canada.
I've got to say, when you post your videos, you have the most vocal, like they love you. They really, really love you. And it brings me such joy to see the enjoyment you get from the reaction to the crowd.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, it brings me a lot of joy too, believe me. I have a lot of gratitude now for what I do. That was something I was missing before therapy too, was gratitude. Like I didn't practice gratitude. I wasn't grateful for everything. I was more arrogant about it. Like, oh yeah, well of course I'm doing this. Now I'm just like, oh no. My life is a gift. This is a dream, and I want to spread joy and sunshine and bring people in. So yeah, I'm very grateful for my fans. They are ardent, and they've given me an incredible life.
Chels, besides our reality show, do you want to return to TV? Would you do another late night show?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't need to do anything really. I have a great situation that I'm already in between my podcast and my books and my stand-up. I can basically, I took 3 months off of a vacation this year. Obviously, I have a great life. So I've set this up in a way that I couldn't be more excited about everything. But also there's a transition happening with network and streamers. You know what I mean? These late night shows aren't necessarily going to be around for that long. And they don't work on streamers. So I don't know. I have to figure out what the right thing is. If I were to return to television, I don't want to be tied down to something 45 weeks a year. I'd rather do something, 10 or 15 weeks a year and make it a series, and like something a little bit more short, not as much of a commitment.
Yeah, I just feel like you're in a really great position to make a show any way you want, and every streaming service and network would line up to buy it. And you are at the exact right age to do that, because you are so confident in your personhood, and yet you're also like in that position of, if it's not exactly right for me, I'm not going to do it because I don't need to do anything.
It's how I feel about a relationship. Like it has to be perfect for me to be interested.
Yes. Well, what about you posted about your baby recently, and the internet went crazy because, everybody has this take on your love life.
Listen, I'm glad people care about me at all. So no, I don't really care. He was just my bartender in Spain, and he became my baby, because anyone who brings me that many drinks is a baby. He becomes my baby, and I would kiss my baby every night because he worked at the bar downstairs from my house, and we'd go down there and drinks, and I just loved him, and I would say, baby, I'm here. And I posted a thank you to him. I had no idea people would interpret it as that was my boyfriend. But yeah, listen, I'm glad people care about me.
I was going to say, with your baby in Spain, did you practice your Espanol?
Oh, yes. I practiced my Espanol a lot this year. My Espanol is improving, definitely.
Is it getting good?
Yeah, it's not great, but it's better. Like now I can speak in tenses, past tense, future tense. And I mean, I can't have like a political conversation in Spanish, but I can get by, and it's definitely improving. So that's nice.
I find it very impressive, and I find that your ability to stick with it impressive, because this is why you're going to be a better student than me. when we go to college is if I can't do something immediately, I decry it as stupid. And therefore, I'm like, languages are stupid.
Yeah, right.
That's my whole thing.
I
Languages
know,
are dumb.
but I can't. I know. I feel like that. You know how you say that in Spanish? Idiomas están estúpidos. So
Es verdad.
Estúpidas. Sorry, lo siento. But
Lo siento.
But yeah, no, I don't give up very easily. So I feel like it's so important to know a second language. I feel so stupid as an American, and I have so many friends that speak like 3-4 languages that I'm like, I will not rest until I can speak Spanish fluently.
Please. I'm like the shame of our entire family. My husband has a family of linguists. He's the shame of his family because he only speaks 3 languages. They're like, Mark married a woman who only speaks English.
Do your kids speak multiple languages?
They speak Spanish, but it's like school Spanish.
Right. Yeah, I took German in public school, and I can say no sprechen Sie Deutsch is what I can say.
No sprechen Sie Deutsch. Yeah. Yeah. I just saw, oh God, you know what I just saw in London? Cabaret.
Oh, I've heard that's incredible.
You have to, if you get over to London, go see it. It's incredible. Jake Shears is playing the MC right now. And it's like, it's just sort of very relevant right now. And it's incredible. And he's amazing. So I just want to say thank you to you for joining us today, Chels. I really adore you. And I hope that we do go to college together.
I do too.
I hope that we join a sorority. I don't know what sorority we would join. I'll let you.
Maybe we'll join a fraternity. I mean, we have to guide.
Fraternity.
We just have to think. Yeah, we could join a sorority and guide these girls into their womanhood.
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah. And we can both pick up a degree. I'm totally down with this idea. I love it. Thank you for bringing it up.
It's a great idea. So I just want to remind everyone that Chelsea's a Grammy-nominated comedian, of course, television host. She's a 6-time New York Times best-selling author. 6-time New York Times. Did you hear that?
It's a lot of times.
That's a lot of times. And she's my microdoser.
I'm your drug dealer. I'm your psychopharmacologist.
You're my psychopharmacologyst.
I'm your psychopharmacologyst.
And don't forget to get tickets for Chelsea's show, Little Big Bitch.
Little Big Bitch tour.
Don't forget also, listeners, to listen to Dear Chelsea, the podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Chelsea Handler, thanks for joining us.
I love you, Kelly.
I love you so
Take
much.
Care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I wish Chelsea.
She's hilarious.
She's amazing. She's really good. She's really, really good.
She's the best.
She's just like a babe. You see how pretty she
Yeah,
is? She's like I always say, like, she's freakishly pretty, you know?
Yeah.
And she's got the perfect body.
She's amazing.
And I know she works out, but like, you know how you and I kick the shit out of ourselves in our workouts?
Yes.
Like, I can see, like, she works out, but she also takes it easy.
Like a hotel room workout.
Yeah, it's like a hotel room workout. She's got like a trainer there. He's like, dude, lift this 3 times. And I'm like, that's it? 3 times? Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. I know I certainly did. Don't forget to tell your friends to listen to Let's Talk Off Camera wherever you get your podcast. Go for the Dear Chelsea Let's Talk Off Camera bundle. Available everywhere you get your New Jersey podcasts. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa is a co-production of Melojo Productions and PRX Productions with help from Goat Rodeo. Our theme song is Follow Me from APM Music. From Melojo, our team is Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos, Albert Bianchini, Jan Chalet, Devin Schneider, Michael Halpern, Jacob Small, Roz Therian, Seth Gronquist, and Julia Desch. From PRX Productions, our team is Kara Schillen, Genevieve Sponsler, Megan Nadolski, Isabel Kirby McGowan, Edwin Ochoa. Additional sound design by Terrence Bernardo. The executive producer of PRX Productions is Jocelyn Gonzalez. This show is powered by Stitcher.